My name is Ryan England, and I am the host of Titans of the Trades. Today's guest is someone doing something a little different. And, it's interesting. I don't see too much real innovation inside of the trades. But what Dan is doing over at Core Group is pretty cool. And what I like about it, in our conversation today, you're going to hear some of the things that he sees by working with hundreds of contractors all over the country through his membership program. You're going to learn a little bit about what they're seeing, what they're able to, challenges they're able to overcome, and really what they see for the future of the industry. Focuses entirely on restoration. So whether you're a restoration contractor or not, I encourage you to listen to this show. He's got some great offers at the end as well for anyone in the trades. I want to introduce you to Dan Cassara, the CEO of Core Group. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, we met via email and we've got a little bit of dialogue before this, and I'm really excited to dig into your story. You are doing something so different, and I love different. You're doing something that's so unique in this area, restoration, where you're coming alongside these entrepreneurs and you're giving them a platform to really scale and grow their business. And I would love for you to share a little bit about that with our listeners. Tell us a little bit about how you got into that, because it just doesn't seem like something that you just, hey, I'm going to go do this. There was an opportunity, there was a passion. I'd love to know more about that. So if you wouldn't mind sharing with our listeners who you are, where you came from, and what you guys are doing over at Core Group, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. So I'm Dan Cassara. I'm the founder and CEO here at Core Group. And Core is a really unique business model in the property damage restoration space. We are part hybrid franchisor of independent property restoration companies, which means if you're an independent property restoration company, you're not affiliated with a national brand or franchise. And so we are a franchisor because these companies get to join our membership. We call it a membership to be a part of the Core community of companies. So we have what's called Core members across the country. We also have what's called Core affiliates. These are companies that are not necessarily invested as members of Core, but they do work for us in other markets in the country. Part of our offering is we also operate a third-party administrator of claims business called Encore Repair. And so Encore is made up of a piece of the business called Core Private Client, which caters to high net worth insurance carriers, Core Commercial, which is all commercial clients, commercial carriers. And so we take opportunities that these clients give us and then distribute them to those contractors nationwide. In addition to that, we also have built and operate the largest industry buying program. So if you are an independent restorer, even a franchise-based restorer, if you want to buy equipment or consumables or anything for your business, including laptops, anything really, you can buy them directly through our Core Perks buying program. We operate also an online university called Core University. And then we produce a bunch of really incredible events. So we produce an annual conference called The Collective, which is an event that happens every year in Austin, Texas, which is where we're headquartered, as well as other, marketing sales summits, operations summits, owners, mastermind groups. We do a bunch of different events around that as well. So we're kind of a multi-legged stool, if you will.
Yeah. No, I think it's great because a lot of contractors, this has been my experience, they like doing the work. They like being out there doing the restoration work, managing the projects, working with the customer. They don't like the back office stuff. They don't like the looking for the best pricing and buying stuff, procurement. They don't enjoy dealing with insurance carriers, right? Like they don't enjoy these things. And so it sounds to me like what you've done over at Core Group is said, hey, we like this restoration industry. There's opportunity to really support these guys so they can go do what they do best, go do what they love, and we'll take on all of the administrative stuff. We'll take on a lot of that back office stuff that kind of bogs them down and keeps them from really going out there and doing their best work. Did I get that right?
Yes. So some of our members lean into us more than others when it comes to the assistance on everything from, marketing and sales support, operations, kind of know-how, operations training, various things. We really try to help companies empower their people and educate their people on how to do it themselves. Obviously, most of our core members tend to be larger players in the space, so they tend to have teams of people. But what we also help them with is even just structuring their business. For a lot of our members, we help them get onto a streamlined operating system. I help them with the cadence of their meetings, how they can sort of better structure their businesses so that they can focus on the customer and not all the nuance of things that they don't like to deal with, like you said, behind the scenes.
Well, that's cool. So now you're not only helping them in this membership, like through the franchise relationship, but you're also coaching and training them. You're supporting them. You're helping them with how do you become better leaders? How do you better manage the business and the day-to-day stuff?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
One of my passions is people. I love the people side of business. It's why we developed the CoreFit hiring system to help instead of an operating system, it's a hiring system. It's a retention system to help people that don't know how to do this stuff, that were never trained how to do it. Right. So I imagine that you've seen a lot of things when it comes to hiring technicians, keeping the technicians, maybe even estimating that side of the business, just people in general. What are some of the things the challenges that you are seeing in the marketplace right now? Besides, we have a labor shortage. Everybody knows that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be the big thing, right? Is the labor shortage. But I think that companies that have retained their people over a long period of time or have really high retention rates, it very rarely has to do with how much they're getting paid. First and foremost, it usually has to do with culture and company. And I think that, one thing that we recognize at Core, and I think that most of our members recognize, is that the boots on the ground employees, the technicians, the people that are in homes every day, that are actually doing the work, are really the backbone of the company, right? Mm-hmm. So you can build a company with this amazing leadership team and all the greatest strategies in place, but if you don't have that foundational team that supports you, because these are the people that are doing the hard work, right? They're after floods, fires, major mold jobs, those sorts of things. The tough work happens there. So I think one thing I will tell people oftentimes is make sure that you're taking care of those folks, because they're the ones getting up at 3:00 in the morning to respond to your customers and really fulfilling the promises that you've made. Your salespeople are making promises. It's really the technicians that are actually delivering on those promises. That salesperson at a local level isn't getting up at 3 a.m. to show up, to a job. Oftentimes it's the team. So yeah. So I think that, finding creative ways to find talent. I think there's also, we're in sort of a niche space in, damage restoration, or not just construction, if you will. And I think that, we oftentimes find folks that came from the trades or were in traditional general construction kind of jobs, that once they discover that this work kind of exists, it kind of opens up a whole new opportunity, a new world, because this is really unique work. It's not something that, that, and really, unless you've had a damage in your home, you don't really know that this kind of work exists. Truly. Yeah. Most people don't even know that this industry even exists, but it's a massive industry for how unknown it really is.
Well, we've worked with some restoration contractors, and one of the things that opened my eyes when I first explored this industry was that this is literally top 3 worst days of someone's life. Mm-hmm. When they deal with a fire or a flood and losing their memories and losing everything. I mean, everybody's safe. Everybody got out fine. But, I mean, it's almost like they have to hit the reset button on everything that they've built up to this point. And unless you've been through that, and I've never been through it, thank God I've never been through it, but I can't imagine what that's like. And then to have to deal with finding a contractor who doesn't show up or doesn't care or all these other things, that can be a real challenge for people. It can be a challenge to grow your business. And so I love what you said about those technicians, the front line, like that's really what matters. And you said something that I want to dig into, because I'd love to hear some examples of take care of these guys, like take care of the front line. What do you mean by take care? Because I imagine there's people listening going, I do take care of them. I pay them well. I give them good benefits. I let them have time off. I tell them I appreciate them, but I still struggle. Yeah. What do you mean when you say take care?
Well, so you actually hit on something just now, which is understanding the impact of what's happened to people's lives. I think that what can happen very quickly, and I have seen contractors in our space do this, is they can become very sort of jaded to this industry, meaning a fire is just, oh, it's another fire. It's another flood. Oh, it's another hurricane. It's another tornado damaged home. And you can become very sort of like, oh, it's just another project. We're going to knock it out because you become this pro who takes care of this, but you forget the people that are behind it, right? The homeowners. And I think that there's sort of two sides to this in that, there is sort of day-to-day work that needs to sort of be respected, right? There are water damages that happen every single day in every single market in this country. And those little water damages can even impact people's lives in such a significant way, not just the major stuff. And I think that when I say take care of your people, I think that number one, empathy training, I think is huge, really getting them to understand the homes that they're going into, how this is impacting them, and to not treat it as just another job. That's a big one. We do some of that training here at Core Group. We also offer something called white glove service training for some of our, call it high touch customers who may have, an adverse reaction to some of these things kind of happening in their home, and really training the contractors on how to give that extra touch, extra level of care, and not kind of rushing them through it. I think that, if someone wants to remodel their kitchen, it's a nice to have, right? You bring the contractor in, they look at your kitchen, they tell you what it's going to cost, and there's no real urgency. But when your home has been impacted by a major fire, the technician that comes into your home is very different than the contractor who comes in to do the nice to have work, right? So they really have to be able to take care of that homeowner just as much. Now that if a technician or a project manager or a senior lead person on the job isn't felt like they're taken care of at work, that's going to translate directly to the service that they provide, right? It's no different than when you go into a retail store, depending on the retail store, you can, different levels of service. If you go into a high-end retail store, you can tell that people they're compensated better, but they're trained better to take care of. Hospitality always seems to be the industry that I like to align this with, believe it or not. Because if you think about a hotel going into I'm not going to name brands, but a motel versus a Four Seasons, the reason that you're getting a different level of service is not because you're paying more, although that is a byproduct of you paying more, but it's an employee who's trained to care for you in a totally different way. And the only way that you can do that is those employees are cared for themselves. And if they're not cared for, or they're not respected, and they're not given the kudos they need for all that hard work they're doing, it's going to translate to terrible service. And I think that good restoration companies understand that while that homeowner may be a one-time customer, they're not going to have a fire twice, knock on wood, hopefully they don't. But, they are going to talk to their friends and family and other, they may be business owners. They may talk to other folks and say, this is the experience I had. And I think that all of that, you need to treat every customer as if they're a repeat customer, although in our space, that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. No, and I think there's something that you touched on that I've studied and I've heard about many times. And I mean, I'll name brands. The Ritz-Carlton, like they're known for the quality of interaction that they have with their guests and how they're known for going out of the way, not even when someone's asked, just because they saw an opportunity and they went out of the way to do it. And I remember hearing someone talk about that one time. They were interviewing someone that worked at the Ritz-Carlton and they said, so tell me about, like, what's your relationship like with your manager? Oh, my manager comes by twice a day to check on me, not because they're making sure I'm doing the work, but to make sure I'm doing good. Yeah. They know what's going on in my life and they genuinely are interested in the things that I'm interested in. So Absolutely. They don't just come by and be like, hey, Dan, how you doing today? Oh, great. I got to go. Like, that's not how they are. Like, it's genuine. Like, what'd you do this weekend? And it's taking that initiative to create a relationship with somebody that goes beyond the employee-employer, you trade your time for money relationship.
Right.
Which I think is what a lot of people do right now. And I agree with you 100%. If they don't feel like they're taken care of at work, they're not going to take care of the customer.
Well, I think that in the Ritz-Carlton example, which I think is a great one, they actually empower their people to make decisions. So if a guest at the Ritz-Carlton says, this hasn't really been a great stay, I had issues with my room, or check-in was bumpy, or, it wasn't what I expected, each of those employees is actually given a budget and empowered to say, I'm going to make it right for you. And they're able to do that. And I think that that's brilliant in so many ways, to empowering people to make decisions. We've all had these experiences where we call, for example, a call center, and their level of empowerment stops at a certain level. And you what's the common thing? Can I speak to a manager? Can I talk to someone else who can help me get past this? And I think that if you empower people to take care of their customers, even down to those technicians that are in people's homes, empower them to make a decision and not do the I'll get back to you after I've spoken to my manager type of thing. I think that could go a long way.
Well, I even think back to the examples of Zappos before they merged with Amazon. I mean, those were customer service reps that were incentivized to stay on the phone longer, because the longer they spent on the phone, the more they would learn about the customer, so they could do better marketing towards them.
Exactly.
And it was a business purpose, but as the customer, I'll pay full retail and I'll call the rep at Zappos to have that conversation or talk to them about whatever I got going on. And it wasn't because that was their job. It was because the people above them actually invested in them as well and cared about them and knew about them. And so I think a lot of that can translate. And, one of the things that I found in doing this for so long is that people that grew up in the trades, if I grew up as a contractor or I did restoration and my parents did that or whatever, I was never taught this stuff. I was never taught how to have a relationship with the employees. I was never taught to actually take care of them, as you said. Like, no one ever told me what that was. I always was taught take care of meant pay more money than the other guy.
Right.
And maybe 30 years ago that was the case. I doubt it. But today it's definitely not. What people want today out of that relationship with their employer is completely different than it was 30 years ago. So what are some of the things that you guys are doing to help your franchisees or your members with retaining employees? You had mentioned empathy training. I would love to know more about that.
Yeah, so we do a couple different things. We rolled out something called white glove service training a couple of years back that is continually getting better. So every year we sort of add more and more to this. We have an online platform called Core University, which is open up really to anyone in the construction or restoration space. You can log into Core University. There is free training. There's paid for training. Anyone who is an educator in this space, you can kind of get through Core University. But some of the core offered trainings are things like white glove service training, so how to take care of that insured or home or business owner, which includes empathy training, understanding, the impacts of these disasters on people's lives. I really think it comes down to, like I said, not to go back to hospitality, but really just empowering people to take care of people, because that really is the business that we're in. I always say to our team here at Core, we're in the hospitality business. We just happen to be doing property restoration, right? And I've truly, I think that it was about 10 years ago where I finally I connected the dots and saw the parallels between the two industries, which are so vastly different, but yet they're not at the same time. Going into someone's home after something major has happened and having that level of understanding, care, and empathy to just spend the time and hear them vent even, like the stuff that they've lost or even just the impact it had on their day. These are all things that go a long way. And I think that, we're constantly telling our members to invest in the training and understanding that, their people need to be able to be empowered to take the time to do those things. So that's what we mean by empathy, just understanding, where the people who have been impacted the most, like where are they, meet them where they're at, and just be there to help them understand that, you understand and that this is not just a run-of-the-mill water job or a fire job or whatever.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, it's really looking at what I like to call the human condition, right? Like we all have our wants and our needs and everything else, but they're not just a set of hands. It's not just a job. Like there's an emotional connection to all of this. And I love that you guys have that. And the Core University sounds fantastic. That's open to anybody. Anybody can enroll in that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's coreuniversityonline.com. Yeah.
That is awesome. Dan, this has been great. I love the vision you have. What do you see happening in the future now? Like, where is the industry going? What are some of the challenges that we may have to overcome that we're not dealing with today? And what are you guys doing to be ahead of that stuff?
Well, I think we're investing like most companies in technology and how we can innovate the process. We're certainly not looking to eliminate the human touch. That's really impossible in the work that we do. But how can we automate and innovate things that that bog most business owners and most of our customers down? How can we innovate in that perspective? So we are investing a lot in technology. We are a unique business model, and so we're sort of this interesting, very sort of boots on the ground, blue collar. We're actually doing the work, but we also core as a platform is really interesting because we're a bit of a technology play on top of all of this, right? Finding ways to really innovate the claims process for carriers, ways to just innovate the overall business operations for our members as well. So I definitely see more technology, a lot greater use of AI. I know that's everyone's saying that, but truly we are seeing that in our space. So just the way that our teams interact with even the insureds who don't necessarily want to call our concierge team. They want to just quickly chat with someone about something and using technology to help them get their answers quicker. That helps us just from an efficiency perspective as we grow. It also helps our companies, our core members grow as well by finding solutions to get their customers answers quicker without having to, we'll get back to you, leave a message, we'll call you back, really trying to create that. So we are really leaning hard into technology and innovation in that regard in terms of how we innovate that process.
Yeah, I think I had a guest on the show a while back, and he talked about how AI is not really going to kill all the jobs like everybody's afraid of. But it is going to require us to change our skill set and do some things different. But absolutely. I think one of the things that I'm seeing AI being used the most in, and Amazon screwed us all up, right? Like if I can't have same day prime delivery, like I'm going to go somewhere else. We moved across country, and one of the questions my wife had is 2-day prime available where we're looking to move? Like, I mean, we are that's so in this.
Thing. That's a real thing. And I had the exact same situation. We moved to the suburbs of Austin out in hill country, and we can't get next day. We just can't. So it's either 2-day, I think is the fastest we can get. And the minute we moved there, my wife was like, "You have got to be kidding." I'm like, "Relax." People used to take 3 years to get across the country.
But that's what happened, though. We've moved to this point where it's the instant gratification. If I can't have it yesterday, it's too late, right? And I see that a lot, too, with just the employee-employer relationship. Like, if I can't solve this problem yesterday, then I'm going to go find another job.
Yeah,
it's that mindset. But I think we have that. And I see AI really helping us move faster, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But it's definitely going to change the industry a little bit, and just the way that people deliver, and the ones that adopt the technology will be here in 10 years, and the ones that don't, they maybe will carve out a little niche for themselves, but they won't be as competitive as they are today. So
exactly.
Dan, this has been great. So you have a conference that you offer as well. So you've got that Core University, which you just shared with me now. And I think that's awesome. We'll make sure that we have that link in the show notes, but also you got a conference that's coming up next year that could be really valuable to anybody in the trades. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So anyone in the trades can attend. It's called The Collective. It's a conference that happens every year in Austin, Texas. In 25, it's August 6th through the 8th. You can go to thecollectivebycore.com for more information on the event itself. And when this airs, I will share with you a discount code. So anyone who listens to this episode can a discount code to attend as well. But it's an amazing event. From a content perspective, just the ability to network with other folks in the trade, it is a really incredible experience. It's unlike anything else in the industry. We really pride ourselves in delivering the true experience. And so I think that it's something you definitely don't want to miss, and something you'll do the minute you attend. You will do it every single year, hands down.
I love it. All right. Well, we have all that information in the show notes as well. Dan, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really enjoyed the conversation. I love just the way you look at how you can support these restoration contractors by allowing them into your membership, or even just through the training and the conferences and everything else. Like, you're really just giving back to the industry. And I love that. So thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.